So like if you have changes or updates, you do have to ask them to do that, which is always going to be a cost. So if you change your room number or things like that. There is a grant you can write that pays through NDE, but I feel like it might be due really fast.
It's due, within a week.
Yeah.
Within a couple of weeks of today.
Yeah. From my experience, a couple things that, and I've not worked with CRG, although Brandon Myers did come talk to us about CRG. You do have to have a really good blueprint of your building from the architect. I don't know if Sutherland has that. Having a quality blueprint, like that can be really expensive if you don't have that on file somewhere that's up to date.
I think that there are some blueprints in those drawers. I know that I've seen some roll, I didn't roll them out.
So if it's not up to snuff, then you will have to get a new blueprint, which can be really costly of the building. And that's, I'm gonna just, from our lens, that's holding us back a little, is the cost we're gonna have in getting up to date, accurate blueprints of our building, because every building undergoes construction, and the more construction and the more changes you make, if you're not doing those updated blueprints, then that's going to be a cost, and they don't tell you that in this.
It's
that
not in this fee.
yes, because it's not their fee, it's our fee.
Yeah.
But
the primary benefit of doing this is response time.
it is response time, so it's
So-
really meant for rural communities, that if you don't have an officer here when he gets here, there's no wasting time of knowing where to go.
For $2,000 though, or something, couldn't we just make our own map and we could have it ready? I mean, it wouldn't be exact foot-wise, but like we could get pretty close.
Yeah,
I don't know.
there's some other programs too that you could upload a map into for first responders, like Rave is one of them, where you could create your own map and upload it. Like, I think this is a good idea. I don't want to act like I'm against it. I'm actually very for it. We've been looking into it for 2 years and spent a lot of time on this issue. I think it's smart. I think it's good for rural schools. If you're gonna, they're not gonna have to look for a room. You know, it's a good idea. I just think there's a lot of hidden costs to this that we need to be aware of when you look at financially, and then ongoing costs. Anytime you change anything, you're gonna have an ongoing cost to that to keep everything
Some
up
more
to date.
questions, and he might have been able to answer those. One of the things he did tell me is that each entity, the firemen, the police, whoever else who responds to emergencies, they will have this map. They'll have it online. They can flip it up and they know exactly where to go. The way he presented it to me, it sounded really good. I'd love to have that in a school.
Mhm.
I sure would. I didn't know about the hidden costs, and I found this sheet here. Each map costs $1,225. That's for one floor. Site visit and information fee of $535 per school. That covers an in-person site. There is an aerial ortho drone imagery of $535 per campus. There is a vector conversion fee of $300 per floor to break the map down into component files required by state of Nebraska GIS software. And so those are the costs. That's the only thing that I have.
Yeah.
And so I'm, that other, I'll have to visit.
And there's also some questions whether the vector, the maps that they break it down to is gonna be very compatible with the GIS software. So that was another concern that we had. And like I said, there's a lot of different groups doing this mapping. All of them claim that our software is going to be compatible with law enforcement. Law enforcement is a little different lens as to what's going to be compatible versus what's not. But
What is state of Nebraska? What is GIS? What's that? GIS software.
It's where I go in there, if I need to know if someone's in our district, I put in their address and their house comes up. So it shows housing in your county.
Okay.
Is what GIS.
I guess my thoughts would be, we maybe move forward with the grant to see what we can get. I'm not sure how many people have applied for this grant. I think there's probably a pretty good chance of maybe getting the grant. But maybe move forward with the grant to see, and then I think it's really important we know what is gonna be our ongoing cost with something like this.
Maybe you embed some of the other companies that's out there. And you just made this comment about another program called Rave that we could,
Yeah, Rave is
Potentially
it's a whole building level response where you have it on your phone. It's a panic button.
Mhm.
You can push the button and then it alerts everybody of what the crisis is, but it also talks to Smart 911. So they're compatible. So our SRO seems to think that if we get a good map, we could put it in Rave. And then when the Smart 911 goes into that they could see it. Now, that's something he thinks would be workable, and then we would have access to editing our own map. But I don't, yeah. And some of that's over my head, like how that works and how it doesn't, but we've been looking into it, and then Brandon came and talked to us too, and we felt like we had a few more. We just didn't feel like we were totally 100% sold on just. I just don't think that's gonna be your only cost. I think there's gonna be some greater costs associated with it once we dig a little bit deeper, but I do think it's smart to go for the grant.
It's due January 31st. So we have a little bit, I mean, we got a couple weeks. They extended it, so I'm assuming they haven't had a lot of applicants, so it might be.
We kind of thought that too.
sad.
Mhm.
Would you like us to? apply for the grant?
It didn't look, I mean, I've dug into the grant application. It's not overly, I mean, it's gonna require some tech stuff from your tech department of some of that, but it didn't look overly burdensome.
And I mean, they asked the questions you did though, are there, like, how are your existing blueprints? Are they available in electronic, digital, printable formats?
That's
We can
this
go
one
through
right
it.
here.
No, that's the grant, that's the
Oh, that's
grant.
the grant.
yeah.
Because if you don't have those, then
That you have to.
you're not gonna be able to do any of this.
I know that one window, I think you said, and then there's another window later on.
For another grant.
Yeah,
With
for
everything.
another grant.
Mhm. I think it's smart. I just think,
Okay.
I think there's still a lot we need to have in place before we're
What was-
ready
More
for it.
information.
Yeah,
So yeah, I don't even know if we really need a motion for that. I think. If we can get more information on several of the different companies and what really entails in all of this, that would be.
Hmm.
Very good for us, and then go forward with more information at that point. Okay, 11D is a name of depositors. The current depositors. Adams Bank and Trust, Hershey State Bank, First National Bank of Omaha, Wells Fargo Bank of Nebraska, Equitable Bank of North Platte, and Nebraska Liquid Assets. You have any comments on this? Or- Okay, so do I have a motion to approve the following depositories that was listed?
So moved.
I got it first. Do I have a second?
Second.
Any more discussion? Hearing none, roll call.
Janet Mueller,
Yes.
Chad Lantis. Kyle Stevenson, yes. Tom Kelly,
Yes.
Eric Paterka.
Yes.
Randy Busher.
yes.
Motion carried, bank accounts. So this we need to change our bank accounts. So do we have a motion to?
You don't need to change it. Because the only people on were you and Shad,
Oh, okay,
so.
everything's fine there, so we don't even have to worry about this one, okay. Okay, never mind that one, so let's get to 11F. Authorize the superintendent to sign all federal and state local forms. This is an annual action item. Do I have a motion to authorize acting superintendent to sign all local, state, and federal forms as a school's representative?
So moved.
Got a first and a second. Any more discussion? Hearing none, roll call.
Who was the second? Oh,
Janet Mueller,
Yes.
Chad Lantis.
Yes.
Kyle Stevenson, yes. Tom Kelly,
Yes.
Eric Paterka,
Yes.
Randy Busher.
yes.
Motion carried. 11G is policy 2008, the legal newspaper publications. This was approved last month, but this is an annual policy that needs to be approved usually at this meeting, so we're gonna approve it again to get it back into the cycle of being the January meeting. So do I have the motion to approve policy 2008 as presented?
So moved.
Got a first, do I have a second?
Second.
Any more discussion? Hearing none, roll call.
Janet Mueller,
Yes.
Shad Lantis.
Yes.
Kyle Stevenson, yes. Tom Kelly,
Yes.
Eric Paterka.
Yes.
Brandy Busher.
Yes.
Motion carried. 11H is policy review. The following 300 series policies are presented with no changes for board approval following the KSB recommendations. Those policies are 3002, 3004, 3006, 3007, 3009, 3010, 3013, 3015, 3018, 3019, 3020, and 3026 through 3038. Do I have a motion to approve the listed policies for approval as presented with no changes?
So moved.
I got a first. Do I have a second? Any more discussion? Hearing none, roll call.
Tom Kelly,
Yes.
Eric Paterka.
Yes.
Brandy Busher.
Yep.
Janet Mueller,
Yes.
Shad Lantis.
Yes.
Kyle Stevenson, yes.
Okay, motion carried. Bank and school account, Adams Bank Express will begin the bank and school program on Wednesday, January 15th. The school will be a primary holder on the account that the students will deposit their money into. Do you have any?
Ms. Pritchard is the one that set this up. If you could tell the board kind of what happened there, how that came to be.
I guess it's something that was discussed last year. And so they came back to me at the bank and the schools program. Other schools do it also. And they have incentives. What they're trying to do is help the kids with their fiscal responsibility at a younger age by opening up a savings account. That money then stays in the saving account all the way to 6th grade or until they move. So on Wednesday, the 15th, they are coming. They are going to give a short presentation. They've put up a banner in the hallway. You get certain amounts of money and then you get certain prices. And they come on the first and the third Wednesdays of the month. So parent letters went home on January 6th. And we've been getting them back. It's optional if they want to do it. I did give some of those permission slips to the ladies today to start opening up accounts before they come. 6th graders are the tellers. So there's a bank in the school, an Adams Bank teller that will come down, and then they monitor the 6th graders, and then they actually take the money from the kids and help them reconcile their books. So the 6th graders are involved also as a teller, and they were trained. So they came to me and I say, I think this would be a really good life skill for the kids to learn. So they are going to present that tomorrow at 2:50. We're going to be in the North Gym. Parents are invited. We sent that out through email. We put it on Facebook and we just sent out a reminder today. So parents are welcome to come also.
So the money stays until 6th grade and not till the end of the school year?
No, it will build until 6th grade. As long as, and then as they get a little bit older, they can set some goals. What are they saving for? Yes, so the money stays with them until they move or 6th grade. So that was in my board agenda tonight, so I won't have to explain it as in detail, but I'm pretty excited about it. I think it'll be a good learning experience for the kids.
Especially Jake.
Yes,
Reminded me that.
start giving an allowance.
Yep, exactly. So do I have a motion to approve the opening of a checking account with Adams Bank and Trust for the bank and school program with Ted Clausen, Allison Pritchard, and Alicia Morgan as signers on the account?
Moved.
I got a first. Do I have a second?
Second.
Got a first and a second. Any more discussion?
Western do this in North.
Yes, we do. We do Paxton, Sandhills,
St. Pat's.
St. Pat's.
Clyde.
Yeah, we've got 3-4 schools in North Platte. So I was questioning because we give the money out at the end of the school year, every year. And that's why I was kind of, and I'm not even sure that we have the school open an account?
They said it'll be under us and then they'll bring like, I won't even have to write the checks, they'll, when we give the kids their money in sixth grade when they leave, they'll bring me the checks and the signers will sign.
And we did get the
Sonia was
Older
surprised
today.
too. Sonia was
Okay.
surprised too that she thought I'd be listed under the bank. And,
Ours, I'm sure ours is.
yeah, I guess not.
So. Whatever works for each one,
Yeah.
because it is a great program, and I really do like it, it is awesome, and the little kiddos really get into it, so, yes, just,
Got a lot of years left. so.
yes, you do, so have fun, Mom.
Yeah.
So we got a first and second, any more discussion? Hearing none, roll call.
Chad Lantis.
Yes.
Kyle Stevenson, yes. Tom Kelly,
Yes.
Eric Paterka,
Yes.
Brandy Busher,
Yes.
Janet Mueller.
Yeah, motion carried. Okay, we're gonna go to 11J, and these are resignations. And the first one, I have a motion to approve the resignation of Miss Allison Preacher, the elementary principal, and I'm saying this with regrets because you have done a wonderful job as our principal. So unfortunately,
Thank you.
and I want to say congratulations on your
Oh, thank
next
you.
endeavor in life.
Thank
So do I have a motion?
So moved.
And a first, do I have a second?
Second.
Any more discussion? Hearing none, roll call.
Janet Mueller,
Yes,
Chad Lantis.
Yes.
Kyle Stevenson, yes. Tom Kelly,
Yes.
Eric Paterka,
Yes.
Brandy Busher.
motion carried. Do I have a motion to approve the resignation of Paul Calvert? He was our business education teacher, and that is also what I do believe he has done a good job this last year. So, do I have a motion?
So moved.
We got a first, how about a second?
Second,
We got a first and second, any more discussion? Hearing none, roll call.
Eric Paterka,
Yes.
Brandy Busher,
Yes.
Janet Mueller,
Yes.
Chad Lantis.
Yes.
Kyle Stevenson, yes. Tom Kelly.
Yes.
Motion carried. Okay, option students, who would like to take this one? Mr. Klassen or which one of the principals? Because I kind of, it's more you.
This one isn't mine.
They're mine.
Okay,
Basically, this family wanted to move in the district. They're big wrestlers. So that's awesome. And the kids were coming this way for wrestling practice anyway. They live in North Platte right now. They are looking for housing in Sutherland. It just hasn't happened for them yet. So, over holiday break, they had contacted Mr. Clausen. They wanted to get him started right after break, which they did start on that Tuesday.
They're from Shelton. I think there's 5 kids in the family. I think there's a 6th grader, a 4th grader, and a 1st grader, I believe.
And a preschooler comes here
I'm pretty sure.
in the
So
afternoon.
we also.
Mhm.
so do I have a motion to approve the Hathaway children as option students into our school district?
So moved.
I had a first, do I have a second?
Second,
Hold on one sec. We ran out of.
They're just setting you up for
So that
failure.
community from North Platte,
What's that?
there's community from North Platte every day.
Yes,
Bring-
and they bring a preschooler for 12:15 too.
And they tried to, they thought they had a house spot here, that was. Right before the break call. And that fell through, so they have lived in North Platte. I can't remember the guy that brought, that they're related to or.
CJ.
Mhm. Yeah, they're
CJ
coming
Cole.
here because of CJ.
Okay, that's who I think
Mhm.
was the. That brought him here.
Recruiter.
The wrestling. Mhm.
They've integrated well into the wrestling practices and stuff. They work well with the other kids, and the oldest one's been the demonstrator along on just different moves, and it's pretty cool to see. You know, a new kid comes in and kind of picks up a leadership role right away.
Yeah.
Kinda neat.
And that's the 6th grader.
Keely.
Roll call.
Okay, who made the motion?
It
and
was
who
Tom
seconded?
and Kyle.
Okay,
Janet Mueller,
Yes,
Chad Lantis,
Yes.
Kyle Stevenson, yes. Tom Kelly,
Yes.
Eric Paterka,
Yes,
Brandy Busher.
yes.
Motion carried. Now we're going to item 12, which is the reports, the elementary reports.
Excuse me. All right.
You abbreviate it like that.
The principal report, December student of the month. Preschool, we had Charlotte Keller and Hannah Griebel. Kindergarten was Augie Peters and Ren Paulman. First grade was Owen Keller and second grade was Ziva Zog. Third grade, Lacey Harper and John Dyer. Fourth grade is Mackenzie Paulson. Fifth grade is Camry Raspy. Sixth grade is Gentry Boggs. And then Miss Sandberg did go over the NEP data last month. And so I know Ms. McConnell has some data also, but if you just take one and pass it around. I wrote down our Nebraska education data. This would be from last year. Our DIBELS data is from this year. And our NWA maps, which is our summative test that we take in the fall, in the winter, in the spring, is this year. So last year, there was 158 elementary students, 11 teachers, your free and reduced lunch was 39%. And remember, we're talking about a bell curve. So I'm looking at the graph, the chart that has the yellow box around it. 50% is where we want our students to be or above. And your English language arts for your NSCAS, Nebraska Student Centered Assessment System, which is the state system. We take that every spring. Sutherland was 76%, well above the 50%. The state average is 59%. Mathematics, 73%, and the state average was 58%. And science is 79%, and the state average is 74%. So overall, our students perform well in the elementary over the 50%. And there's 4 levels that they considered as classifications, which Mrs. Sandberg spoke about last month. Excellent, great, good, and needs improvement. The elementary is great, and there are many facets of AQUEST that you take into consideration for improvement. One thing that makes it more difficult to reach excellent for us is because our data and our testing is so high. So the higher your testing is, the harder it is to improve and raise to that next level. But great is a good classification. Our DIBELS we gave in the fall for baseline data. DIBELS is the reading assessment that we give our kids, basically different levels, phonemic awareness, nonsense words, reading fluency. In the fall, we were 75%, and in the spring, we were at 79%. So we've grown. I was really proud of this because this is all taking place right before Christmas. So we're pretty excited. And we had a little internet for a couple of days. Now our NWA maps, what I did here is I did it by classes. And I have our fall written down and our winter. And one thing I want to comment when you look at these is there will be grades, which I'm sure you've seen in the past, that just overall with the mixture of the kids and the mixture of resource students and demographics overall might have lower scores, but our goal is to get them to increase. And so remember, 50% is our where we want our kids to function. So I would definitely say I've never tested an elementary in winter before Christmas, so it was rather interesting. So I will like to see the spring scores. They're still above 50, the majority of them. So we're looking for growth, and it was pretty interesting. The little kiddos were pretty excited, and we did end up, like some kids had to take 2 tests in one day just due to our internet outage for about 2.5 days. So I'll be curious to see what the spring looks like. So that's some of our data on the elementary side. We do look at this. The teachers look at it. I have them come in and we disaggregate it and talk about it and continue to look at how we can improve. The elementary had their second quarter first semester assembly on January 8th. I had over 300 certificates. I made over break. I cannot believe. We had 49 kids on the AB honor roll We had 25 kids on the high honor roll in elementary, so the kids are performing well. And then we did our PBIS individual skills, so it was pretty exciting for them. So they do get a treat out of the concession stand area, one treat, and then they can have multiple certificates. Sutherland is sending 2 contestants per 5th through 8th grade to the spelling bee on February 7th. 5th grade, we have Bennett Mills and Bentley Lathrop. Alternative is Ia Hesseltine. 6th grade is Melanie Bratsky and Samuel Maltzberger. The alternative is Vaughn Barrett. 7th grade, we have Cadence Radsby and Bentley Bruns. And 8th grade is Liam Albertson and Hadley Scott. And Mrs. Bruns is going to be the sponsor that day. It's a parent-teacher conference day. So if anybody in the community has questions about the spelling bee, just send them to me because I organized it and sending out a permission slip next week. They will go out to eat afterwards. The Sailor branch of Adams State Bank will have their kickoff on January 15th. We spoke about that. And the students will be able to open up their saving account, and they will be visiting every first and third Wednesday of the month from 7:30 to 7:50. One thing, the kids cannot bring coins and they can't write checks, so they will have to bring dollar bills when they come, and we have let the parents know this. The 1st through 4th grade, and we have some high schoolers too, will be having their wellness checks. Hearing, vision, height, weight, dental screening on the 16th. So Lions Club will be coming to help with that. On January 17th, the One Book, One School, anchored in one book, will have its reveal. Each family will receive a book, and throughout the weeks, there will be activities related to the book. So this is spearheaded by Mrs. Sandberg. She has grant funds that we used for this. And we're really excited. We had a little teaser go out, and so the kids every day they'll have a clue, and then they'll reveal which book it is on Friday, and the families will get their books. So we'll be doing that. And then all the paraprofessional evaluations are completed. And I am meeting with each one of them and going over that and talking about different areas. And currently I'm observing the certified teachers for their formal evaluations. So I have a chart and then 2 teachers per week.
Thank you. High school for Mrs. McComb.
All right, so for community, I talked about this in at December's meeting, but we will have our value up presentation with Mike Donahue on Monday. So he'll do 2 student presentations for us, one 6th through 8th grade, and then a 9-12 student presentation. Then he'll do like a leadership workshop. So 10 to 15 kiddos will participate in his leadership workshop, which will just kind of talk about like the continuation of the values that he talks about into our culture. And then he'll do a staff presentation for us at the end of the day. And then he will go to Paxton, and we're co-oping with Paxton for the parent portion of the presentation. So it will be a busy Monday, but it'll be full of really good stuff. I've seen him before. He's amazing. Our kids will love it. We had our Q2 no referral celebration. So that's one of the ways that we kind of support PBIS at the high school level. It gets harder at the high school level because they don't really love like a sticker and a highlighter anymore. So we have to be creative with how we entice them to make good choices. But we did a popcorn and candy bar, and we recognized 92 students this quarter. So 92 of our 117 did not have a behavior referral, which that's really good. In the classroom, we celebrated some huge wins coming off the winter benchmark testing. Like Allison said, it was kind of a tricky test week, and I asked a lot out of our students because our initial schedule just got wiped, and teachers had to roll with it, kids had to roll with it. We tested all 3 contents in one day. That is not what I like to do. It's not necessarily best practice, but for our intents and purposes, we couldn't let it drag in to the winter semester. So kids showed out. They did really good. So we did our data dives, and that pre-service day we came back. So I meet with all of our math, ELA, and science teachers. We disaggregate all of our data, look for trends, figure out what we're going to do with the data going forward. And then I present that to our whole staff so we can buy in and have that collective efficacy towards our goals. So some huge wins. Math, 11% more students were at or above grade level in the winter than came to us in the spring. So our goal is always going to be to add more to the achievement bucket. We want more kids at or above grade level now than we had last month or in the fall. So as long as that number is growing, we are doing our jobs. Like the magic of education is bridging those gaps, right? So fall, 69% of our students, 7-12, were at or above grade level in math. Our winter benchmark, we had 80%, so an 11% increase. 66% were at grade level this time last year. And again, we have 80 right now. So on the year, our math scores are looking really good. It was pretty crazy. Like 94% of our ninth graders are at or above grade level in math. That's 9 out of every 10 kids. You do not see that hardly anywhere. ELA, we had 6% more students at or above grade level, came in at 65 in the fall. We're at 71 in the winter. This time last year, only 50% of our kids were at or above grade level. So a 21% increase on the year. Science, 5% more students were at or above grade level. 80% came in the fall, 85 in the winter. They didn't ever test science in MAPS before this year. And talking to our science teachers, we really wanted to have some longitudinal data, hold kids accountable to it, us accountable to it, be able to look for trends because we do test science on the ACT. So this is also the first year that we've tested our juniors. I don't want to go into the ACT blind. So I would rather be able to track their data this year and make some modifications to their instruction prior to the ACT than kind of hitting that test and being like, oh, I don't really know what we're going to get. So I was super proud of our teachers. I'm really, really proud of our kids because I said this at the last board meeting. The hardest thing in high school is getting kids to buy in and care about these assessments, right? So we did our work and we made sure we enticed them with a skip day, which 8th and 9th grade won, very proudly won that. But they showed up and they gave their best effort and teachers facilitated that. So huge wins for us. We did the ACT practice test. That first week we were back with juniors. Their mean score was better than on the practice test was better than the mean score on the ACT last year at the end of the game. So great starting point for us. Mrs. Kirshner, myself, and Mrs. Sandberg are going to tag team ACT prep. I changed it up. The traditional format that you guys have used is all students had to do ACT prep. And it was, you've done it different ways, but sometimes it was in the classroom during instruction. Sometimes it was like created in like a morning block. I really wanted to challenge our kids and hold them to a high expectation for ACT prep. So I met with them before Christmas. I let them know my expectation was it's not required. Not every junior has to do ACT prep. I explained why they should do it, but I also explained that if they commit to this, they're committing to engaging in the work of ACT prep. It's not easy to facilitate. It takes time during school and after school. And it does them no good if they just show up to check a box. So I was really proud because all 16 of our juniors signed up for it. They were not required to do that. They committed to it and their parents committed to it, which is awesome. So we start that February 1st. That kind of covers classroom competition. Holy cow, we are busy. Thursday, girls wrestling's in Ord. The boys duel that was previously scheduled in North Platte will be hosted here on Thursday. Junior high basketball is at Perkins County. Friday, we have boys wrestling at Elm Creek, high school basketball at Cambridge. Saturday, we have high school basketball at Hitchcock County. We are all over the place. And it does not slow down in the next 2 weeks. So if you can catch a game, kids appreciate it. They see you, they really do. And then the weight room is almost good to go. So that looks really good. Stop in there if you have a second, because it's crazy what a little paint and diamond plate that I had to be convinced would look okay in there looks really good. So any questions for me? All right.
Any board meetings? Do you have anything?
Just have one thank you here, Sutherland Board of Education. Thank you so much for the money gift for Christmas. Your encouragement, support, and hard work are a blessing to this district. That's from Mrs. Sandberg. Just a little rundown on steels, that had the doors. They are all completed, all the doors that were supposed to be installed, they have been. We're gonna do a walk around because I know that, and I told, Mr. Brandon that, or let's see, Zach, I think. And I just told him there's 4 doors yet I can see, there's a little bit of light coming through those seals. And yeah, he said, we're gonna do a walkthrough, a walk around, and then, and I can identify those. Otherwise, in the gym, it's sealed up. It's really nice. I mean, they did a nice job, I thought. They even have a door down there in the old locker room where you seniors apparently were.
Why was
Oh, they fixed that now?
Yes, so now we have a door there. The handle's about this far off the ground. Not sure what that's about, but the handle is there, and so. Anyway, the daycare, we have 2 and possibly 3 people that are talking or visiting with me about that, about doing it. I know one is trying to get working in licensing, and is kind of along in that process. She has talked to me, and then there was another one that's visiting, and we're completely done with the day, whatever it was called. Yeah, Ladybug. And so that's all done. They came and they cleaned out all their equipment and left it just in a immaculate shape. I was really pleased to see that. I've had 2 people come and want to use the rooms. I have a 7-12 principal and would like to put a home ec thing in, class in there. And the teacher, Connie, came up and she wanted to know if she could just put some sewing machines in there. Sure. They tested in there, the practice ACT. And there were several, I don't know, Ms. Pritchard and Mr. McConnell, and there was 2 or 3 other people that supervised that, set up the tables in there. It's a good place for it. And Connie asked me if she could put a stove in there. And my first response was, I'll ask the board. And then I thought, no, we're not gonna put a stove in either one of those because I fully want the daycare there. But I will ask, and I can ask the Buildings and Ground Committee, I didn't ask you guys, but she had a stove she wanted to sell us. And it's gonna be $220 and blah. So we kind of figured out how she could make that work. Without that stove, she can use some other rooms a little bit. She is gonna put her sewing machines in there, so she doesn't have to tear them down and take them up after every class. And
I think for us, it's just using the space while we have them.
just the space that's there, and I see nothing wrong with that whatsoever.
If it gets filled,
They-
great, but
Right, they've been doing interventions and one of them
Mr.
is,
Sandberg asked, yeah, she asked about that, and so
With the
that's just
elementary
fine.
kids.
We'll utilize them as much as we can.
yeah, we've been using them.
And so that's pretty much the daycare situation. I would like to report to you that we have somebody, but that person talked to me the last basketball game. She said she's getting closer. What does that mean? I don't know what that means, but anyhow, that's all I got for.
And you brought up the weight room. I haven't heard anything much about fundraising happening for the equipment. Are they still fundraising?
they did a huge
for-
fundraiser in the fall.
Mhm.
And I visited with Mr. Clausen about this a little bit too. Alicia, what did we say that account was at?
From the fish fry last spring.
And with the
Oh,
tailgate this fall. It is something that will probably, yeah, I know we made up quite a bit this fall. So that was the previous fundraiser that was done. We're looking at potentially doing the brand bicycle. Oh my goodness,
Meal.
the meals
Yeah,
for
fundraiser meal.
what is that?
So
The
when the
brand,
bicycles go
yes,
there. Yeah, I know what
yes.
you're saying.
We're a
Chamber,
host
they're
site
about
for that.
64 bitter.
and something that's gonna have to be on your guys' radar is there were grants that were applied for last year that come to term this month. At the end of the month, they come to term. We don't get that money if we don't do something with that money. So we're gonna have to start breaking for the weight room. So
For the-
yes.
Okay.
So the committee had written grants last year that we got, but you don't, when you get a grant, it's not like they write you a check, right? You have to do the thing and then they reimburse you. I think 2 of those come to term at the end of this month. I was looking back at our bids, they are expired. So we're going to have to get new bids on equipment. I think we're at a point too where it's figuring out what we're willing to do as a district and what they need to make up as a committee as well. So, I mean, that conversation's for you guys, but
The last time we all talked, we agreed that we was gonna take care of the facility, but the
Okay.
brand new weight equipment was gonna come from their fundraising.
okay, so is the decision then that any equipment purchased for the weight room is,
Any new
Fundraiser.
equipment fundraiser thing, is that the way, that's what I remember basically, is that that's how we were looking at that at the moment, just due to everything that's coming at the school board meeting, funding. All the way through,
And how much was the bid for not personalized weight stuff, but
I wanna say it was somewhere around 50 or 60.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think it was 68, a little over 60,000.
can I, and I mean, obviously it's a board decision and that, my job is just to support whatever you guys decide. I would wanna advocate a little bit though, to keep in mind that it is a classroom. And just like any other subject that we support and that we have on a curriculum schedule, ELA is on a 7-year schedule, math is on a 7-year schedule, science is on a 7-year schedule. I just want us to make sure that we're considering, as we create these schedules going forward, that we're gonna have to look at the weight room too. I mean, it is our most used classroom in this entire building. It doesn't just support our kids and our athletes, it supports our community and it's open 12 months out of the year. So,
the question I think I would have then is, and help me here on these bids and so forth, is that some of the equipment or the equipment that was being looked at was where the kid did not have to get up and leave, and it was one piece that covered everything versus that we could buy different pieces to bring in instead of having to be absolute, this one piece covered everything, the kid never got up and moved, it did all of the conditioning and that one machine. Is that as viable as actually maybe the old weight rooms? And I don't go, it
I don't know
shows.
either.
Would it be something that we could, or even as a fundraising happen, instead of going with these big fancy machines where everybody stays stationary, that you could have it where, hey, you go over here and you lift weights over here and you go over here and you do whatever. Is that more of a viable, something that we could expand over time versus we have 60,000 coming at us all of a sudden? And 6,900 is a far cry from 60,000. When we've got transportation looking at us saying we need a new bus, we've got all of these, we've got facilities saying we need all of these doors fixed. We've got a lot of stuff coming at us. And so that would be my question as well.
I could look into that further too, Janet, and I think too, even when I looked at the bids, and I wasn't here when they got the bids, or I wasn't really a part of that process yet.
How they got it.
Yeah.
Any of that.
I just know they're expired. The ones I looked at were expired, but even I sat there and I tried to like break it apart because I understand too, $60,000 in a fiscal year.
And I'm gonna say, I've got another school district that I'm friends with, and their new weight room didn't have that kind of price tag on at all.
Yeah.
But they had that you go over here to lift your weights, you went over here to
Yeah.
do something else, but it was all brand new equipment, and that price tag wasn't 60,000 for that weight room. So that's why I'm just asking. I get the wish list.
Yeah.
But is it something that we can still upgrade it and still provide for the kiddos in that area?
I think part of your 60,000 was including like buying every brand new barbell, every bumper plate, weight. We have weights that are usable.
See, and
Like
that's what I'm asking.
yeah, that would cut your cost down a bunch. What you would probably want, where they have you in one station, they're getting like a squat rack that's double-sided. So you get 3 squat racks, but you can work out on both sides of them. And those racks allow you to do pull-ups, they allow you to do bench press, they allow you to do squat, deadlifts. And you're able to do all those different things in that one area, so it's kind of nice. I mean, in the sense that then you're not buying a leg extension machine that's isolated only for leg extension. I mean, then you're kind of stuck to that machine cost you $2,000 and it does one exercise.
Well, I think there's some equipment in there was built here and is unsafe. We gotta place that. We don't necessarily have to do it all at one time,
No,
so.
Well, my question with the grant being due is, so. Say we get $1,000 and they want $1,000 match, like, is there some equipment we can start ordering now?
yes,
Use the grant, use the money that's been raised. Like, I don't think we should let anything go.
So are there priorities? I mean,
I've talked to that
to me, it would
team,
be bench, it would be squat,
Well,
it would be.
but our grants aren't enough for, like, so we're gonna have to piece out the bid, so. I could do that, but it's an expired bid, so what if, with you guys' permission, what I'll do is I'll reach out to that company and get kind of a new bid. I can meet with the weight room committee and talk about like the priorities. In talking to them, their biggest priority was and I can't remember what they're called right now, my computer's dead, but.
It's a double-sided power rack.
The racks, because I think that's what's in there that. Was potentially fabricated in-house. But we can start piecing that apart and looking at it and breaking, what I would like to see us do is break it into phases, right? So we actually have a plan, whether that's a 2-year, 3-year plan, that we know, I can give that committee an expectation of what needs fundraised, and I know too. As a district, this is what we're willing to do. So I can have that for you guys by the February board meeting.
One question I have too is, I don't know what company you're going through, but like, how did they derive at that company? Because there's like Nova, there's a lot of other good.
I think
companies.
somebody knew a person that was at the company and got that company. I haven't.
I just was wondering about that piece in and of
Yeah.
itself.
Did
If
we get
the-
bids from
Did you
all
have
the
3?
different locations?
It's-
No.
That's what
I
I'm,
think that
I'm
Just
just
the one.
bringing up,
I'll
you
shop
know,
around a little bit, I'll talk to her, she and
I know Nova is a good company. I mean, we had it on a fitness center at my last place. And
I feel like
there's
we
other
did
companies that are.
discuss the phases, like when it was brought to us in the large dollar amount, like it was discussed that this could not be done all at once.
Yes. So
And
what
phase 1 was the district's cost of getting the room ready to go.
facilities?
That was phase 1, and then as we moved into phase 2, that was the purchasing of equipment, and I understand what you're saying about it's a classroom, but taking on all, like, that's
Yeah.
not realistic for
Mhm.
any district to do. Like, I mean, any district around us that's done a major update to their weight room, there's been major fundraising that's helped with that, so it's gotta be,
And that's
and
where
we're just
I'm
not there
looking
with the
for,
fundraising yet.
like, the middle ground of it is. I do think some of that responsibility is for sure on the district, but I definitely think the above and beyond is absolutely on the committee. And we're so fortunate to have the staff and the community that we do that will go out and do these things. And they don't complain, they do it, they're happy about it. But I think if we set some good goals, that can kind of gear that committee to like hear your end game.
Yeah, and I
Let's
think
get
we
there.
are. I mean, I think our phase 1 was get the room ready,
And
which I
it
think
looks- yeah.
that was kind of how we knew we would have to start. But yeah, I mean, I look at major weight room renovations that
Mhm.
I've seen, and it's never been 100% on the district, and I just think everybody needs to understand, like, if we really want this, it's gotta be the community. It's gotta be everybody stepping up and helping and fundraising, and because if not, then it's gonna be this tiny piece by piece by
And that's
piece of
what's
what
hard,
can be,
yeah.
what we could afford in the budget, and it's gonna be so small from year to year that
Yeah.
it's not gonna be what we want.
Can we do a walkthrough and start getting rid of some of the stuff that's in there? Cause there's a lot of things that are in there that are just taking up space. They're cluttering, like that room is a disaster. It's cluttered.
The question I have is who is in charge of this? You have a committee, who's on the committee? I don't even know.
Myself, Brandy, Adam
Jessica.
Hodson, Jessica.
Brandy
Fainer.
Anderson,
Oh,
not Brandy.
is who?
Like myself, Brandy Anderson, Adam Hotzen, Adrian Backer, Jessica Sainer, yeah.
Okay, because Mr. Holtzen and I, for the last month and a half, we've been trying to schedule a trip to Paxton. No, erase that, South Platte. And they just put in a new one. And so now in the next 2 or 3 weeks, maybe I'll try to get with him and we're gonna go over there, because I'd like to see what they put in. And I'd like to, I saw the same bid that Brown saw, 67,000, and I hadn't ever heard of the company. Of course, I'm not in weightlifting.
I think it's overpriced, that bid.
Good to know.
Yeah, I think that bid's overpriced.
So I was just gonna try to go over there, and Mr. Hotzen and I were gonna see what they have. And then see what that cost them. Because I do like stations where you'll move and you'll do about five different exercises on one station. And then you move to the other one. We have enough weights out there that anybody can get strong. They go out and use them.
Right.
Resistance is what builds your muscle.
Right,
And so when you look at that, and when I walked into it several times, 20 barbells, and we got tons of weight. Well, I can't lift most of them, but, I mean, we got a lot of stuff and probably walking through, but when you said that, Kyle, it's a good idea. Who would we do that with? You weightlifters, you guys that are, Adam does that. He teaches several classes in there. I know, I've watched them. And I, 2 or 3, or maybe we go over to Paxton and we take our South Platte and we take a look and get some pictures.
Well, anybody that's done collegiate sports has experience with the weight room.
Yeah,
I just think there's a lot of pieces in there that are taking up space and some of them are not safe. I mean, there's pieces in there that,
they're welded together.
yeah, and
So,
like, there's,
That's not my wheelhouse at all, so I would love for that. Like, someone come tell me
what
what.
needs, and I don't know where you send it or get rid of it to, or store it once you take it out of there, but there's a lot of pieces that just need to go.
we weigh it up at Anderson. Freshman.
Did you say there's grants coming due the end of the month? So that'll be before our next board meeting. So do we need to approve purchase of something?
No, and
No, we can't. Okay,
I would never do, I think we'll just pick
So
like
we're
a
gonna lose
teeny tiny piece of,
the grants.
I think there's.
Not necessarily, because they have
I'll just do a small piece of it,
Because
so like,
those are-
it's
Could
not.
we do McConnell Construction?
I wonder, I don't know. I'd
Just
have to
use
read
some,
it.
get some of that money.
They've
I
got
bet we
some
could.
money themselves.
Is
They've already got like
see
65.
McConnell's bill.
I know, but we're losing
And the
grants.
School
But if
just
it's under
transfers
5,000, it
money
doesn't need
from
to be approved.
Yes,
appreciation into that.
I'll pull the grant, I know Brandy
Papers.
Anderson was.
So how much was the grant?
Maybe
3,000?
Yeah, it
And
doesn't-
I don't know
Need
if
to
that
use
is,
it.
I don't think it's a 50-50 match either, we just have to spend the grant, so it's.
So we were not losing it if they go out there and they've already got 60,
Yeah.
what'd you say, 6,500?
We have to.
For that
approve
account?
We-
So they've got over.
Well, I don't wanna approve it, but we don't wanna lose it.
Yeah, I'll do
Somebody-
that.
somebody needs to take
They can
action.
go, yeah,
I'll make sure that we spend it, whether that's, I'll get with you tomorrow.
Just get with the committee and.
Yeah, you get with the committee.
Right.
But
And I
just action needs to be taken.
Yeah,
Oh,
I got it.
I see what you're saying, Brad. I thought you meant board action. I'm like, no.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking.
So somebody needs to do something, otherwise you lose
I
it.
agree, you better do something, that's what he's
I'll
saying.
make sure you do something.
Oh, and email, we that grants, because I have.
Yeah, I got it.
any of that. You'll have to find.
Good discussion on that. Thank you for. the
Yes,
update.
thanks, guys.
The next item then is the next meeting, and that will be February 11th at 5:30. Do I have a motion for the next meeting date and time?
I'll make a motion.
Randy, do I have a second?
Second.
Any more discussion?
Is not everybody gonna be able to make it? McCurdy's got an away basketball game.
Now, this is we've kind of decided we're setting this. It's that we're not moving times around.
I wasn't asking
Yeah,
for that.
but yeah, so I
Okay,
would
good.
hope, so. Okay, so any more discussion? Hearing none, roll call.
Shad Lantis,
Yes.
Kyle Stevenson, yes, Tom Kelly.
Yes.
Eric Paterka,
Yes.
Randy Busher,
Yes.
Janet Mueller.
Yes. A motion carried and meeting adjourned at 6:37. Transportation Committee, I believe that Tyrell was wanting to speak with us,
We're just gonna ask her,
so.
what equipment do you have at the physical
we
therapy?
want transportation.
What
What
brand?
brand?
Rogue.
What?
Rogue,
Okay.
Get your.
like
state-
Rogue.
You know, for me too.
Yeah,
Yes.
Cause I've gone through Nova, I ran in college, so.
Mhm. Yeah. the Rogue stuff's nice, and I did
I have
like estimated bid, like purchasing everything for our weight room on Rogue,
Mhm.
and it was like less than 25,000. It was like
You
20,000.
go through like Nova.
Oh, yeah.
On my
board
own
members.
treadmill and
We
it's
need a picture
Stairmaster.
here.